welcome to episode 117 of the MTB Podcast, presented and hosted by Worldwide Cyclery. I am Jared.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Liam.
And MTB stands for mountain bike.
Yes.
Just in case people didn't know.
Yes.
Maybe they're first-time listeners and they accidentally clicked on this and they have no idea what we're about to talk about.
Yeah, it's definitely not the MTV Podcast, which is when I do the transcription. It always thinks this is the MTV Podcast. But we do not talk about
We really
music
missed
television.
out because if we
Neither
were
does MTV.
No,
if we were just hot MTV stars when MTV was gung ho, that would be a lot cooler than being in the mountain bike world.
yeah. It's also
We'd have a lot more money too.
yeah, it's no use being a hot MTV star now. I mean, because that's what we are. But back in the day, it would have been great.
It would. In this episode, aside from MTV aspirations, we are going to discuss some new RockShox products, my emergency adventure race training, and listener questions ranging from how to prep your mountain bike for an Everest attempt, the best mountain bike festival, what our stage names would be, and much, much more.
Nice.
Hey, RockShox.
RockShox. It's an X, man.
RockShox, new shocks?
RockShox.
Shocks.
RockShoxes?
Rocky
Are those your
shock
RockShoxes?
Those are my RockShoxes.
What if you had to put a apostrophe S after it?
That would be like
Whose
RockShoxes.
RockShoxes are those?
That would be RockShoxes. RockShox.
Don't you just put it and then you put like an apostrophe on it?
If there was an
How
S
do you
at the
pronounce
end.
it is the question.
Yeah. RockShoxes.
You just say it really fast and move on if you like.
RockShox.
RockShox.
RockShoxes.
Throwing it out there because, there's going to be 20 people that comment, it's RockShox, no, it's RockShox, it's RockShox, it's RockShox.
I think it's RockShox because
No one is in agreement.
because they make shocks. More
Yeah,
than one.
I agree.
More than one shock.
Speaking of shocks, they have recently released some new stuff. A new Boxer downhill fork, which is, very refined. It looks really cool. I actually like
Downhill ain't dead.
It looks sick.
Downhill ain't dead. I actually like a lot of the new design aesthetic of all that
Yeah,
RockShox stuff. Like
I do too.
how like stealth bomber and CNC'd out all the crowns are and everything. It just looks really
Looks
good. I'm a big fan.
more mean.
Yeah.
More sharp angles.
It looks premium. It looks
Modern.
expensive. And it is expensive, so it should look it.
Yep.
Looks good.
I like it.
Yeah.
like it.
New Boxer
Charger 3.
downhill,
there.
Charger 3.
I like that.
38 stanchions instead of 35.
Yeah.
Has
Wow.
buttercups.
Buttercups.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the past Boxer worked really well. I don't think any of us are going to ride this new one because we don't have downhill bikes.
I do.
You have a downhill bike.
I have a downhill bike.
And he's got a boxer on
And I
it.
have an old Boxer on it.
You going to put the new one on there?
Maybe if SRAM sends me one.
In other words, he ain't paying.
But I don't ride it enough to like keep that thing super updated. Like,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
It works.
it works.
Does the job.
very fine. And I'm not a big rider, so 35 stanchions might actually be better for me.
Competitive downhill racer, maybe
Oh, should
you
I
go
not
for
say
the new
that?
Boxer.
Yeah. You're not supposed to say that.
Yeah,
Isn't the new one a little bit heavier too? I mean, obviously it's
I
got,
think it is, yeah.
But not by much, I don't think.
I think the buttercups actually add some weight. They add some nice ride feel, but
Yeah.
ride feel, weight.
Also the thicker stanchions and probably
Yeah.
thicker walls in the stanchions.
Probably still lighter than a Fox 40.
Most likely,
Probably.
but
Not
not
That it
positive.
matters that much since a lot of people win World Cups on that fork. So,
Yeah, that's
And a lot of
true.
people are adding weight to the downhill bikes nowadays as well.
Yeah.
Especially if you're built like Jeff or I.
Crazy.
Yep.
Little 500 gram lead weight in the bottom of your bike.
interesting stuff. Yeah, it's kind of funny that the elite level downhill racers and what they're doing to their bikes and how they ride them and all their setup is pretty far away from what most everyone else on the planet's doing.
Yeah.
It's like getting in your BMW 325 and trying to optimize it to what F1 racers are doing to their F1 cars. It's like
Yeah, pretty
it's not
much.
really in the same world.
But people definitely still do that.
Maybe like your M3, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
M3 to make it a F1 fast.
Yeah. Yeah. So different world. But what's more in the world that we will be riding soon enough here is the new SID stuff.
Ooh, yeah.
So new SID forks and SID shock.
New SID family.
New Sid Shock
SID
too.
family.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Updated SID shock.
Updated Sid
Yeah.
Shock.
Oh, it's all updated and
It's all
refined.
updated. The
It's
forks
not all new, right? Sometimes they call it all
No,
new
no.
and it's like a whole redesign. But
redesigned from the chassis up.
Yeah. But they just did like
looks
new,
nearly identical. But works
Yeah,
slightly
the-
better, we promise.
The SID is a bit more of like a redesign. The uppers, the crown is different.
it does look a bit
It's more
different.
machined.
Yeah, lowers are the same, right? Maybe.
Same looking.
Same
There's
looking.
probably some type of incompatibility difference, but
It almost looked a little step casty. Didn't
Oh,
it have like
yeah?
a little?
in mine, they try to shave some
Obviously,
weight
they won't
on
say
it.
that because
Yeah.
that's a Fox word.
Yeah, they shave some weight on it. It is now it's now I believe a touch lighter than the Fox Stepcast 34. That's the SID Ultimate I'm talking about, the 35 stanchion 120 travel SID. Previously, Fox got under the SID weight by, I don't know, 30 or 50 grams, and now SID just tucked under that weight by, I didn't look exacts, but like very minimal 20 grams or so.
Huge.
A race for the lightest fork.
Yep. But more importantly on the forks, new dampers, Race Day 2 damper, which has 2 options. Well, actually 4 options technically. There is a 3-position damper, so you can have your pedal middle firm, which I think's kind of a welcomed improvement from the old SID stuff where it was just
Wait, did
2-position.
you say pedal middle firm? Do you mean open?
Open
Pedal firm?
Yeah, you're correct.
Okay.
Yeah. I was thinking of them all. 3 positions.
3 positions.
Open.
Most open, middle open, less open.
Open,
soft.
middle, closed.
Stiffer.
Stiffest.
Stiffest.
Yeah.
That's how I'd call it. It's a relevant setting for a fork such as that. I honestly love the SID setup that I've been riding on that Revel Ranger for a long time now. And
Yeah.
I'm glad it has sort of some reworked dampers because I love how those forks work, how they look, how stiff they are, how light they are in comparison to all that. Works amazing on a downcountry bike. But could it be a touch more plush feeling and feel like a Lyric or a Zeb or a Boxer, closer that direction in terms of plushness? Yes, it could. And that will be nice.
Yeah, so they also did some tuning to the air chambers, air side as well. I think something like 50% more negative, 10 or 15% more positive, whatever those numbers mean. Should translate to a little bit more plush ride, as Jeff was mentioning. And then, yeah, there's still 2-position lockout, like the current SID stuff. So that's just going to be your open and basically lock one or the other. And both damper options, 3-position and 2-position, have a crown adjustment or a remote adjustment, shall you want either.
Is the remote wireless and electronic?
It is not. However, Nino's racing that, so that might be coming next year. Flight attendant for SID and like short travel stuff, which I think is super relevant, probably more relevant than when they released it for enduro bikes. But
Yeah. I mean, being able to lock out your fork and shock wirelessly on the fly with a click of a button is most relevant to XC racers of all kinds.
well, even myself, like I wouldn't mind having a little bit of that adjustment, but I'm not adding cables and like grip shift to my bike.
Yeah.
That's just not happening, you know? So if it's on a controlled by the new controller pod and I can just click a button and I'm locked or in middle
There you
and
go.
I can just rip up a trail and then click it again like a dropper post, like could be
That'd
good.
be
The other cool thing is if it was connected to your dropper. Your dropper's up, it's in this mode. Your dropper's down, it's in this mode, and you can manually override it.
Yeah, they're definitely going to do that.
Could be cool too.
Just think about it. If it's all in the ecosystem,
Yeah.
definitely
exactly.
going to do that. They could even tie it into your cassette too. Like if you're in a faster gear, I don't know if that would work as well. But
Yeah, that
depending on
might-
your use case, just give everyone the option. All it is little taps of buttons at that point.
Yeah, so, and then same thing, the rear shock. I don't think too much has changed, except they made the dampers updated and matched the fork. So they have a 3-position, 2-position manual adjustment or a remote adjustment. So, yeah.
I'm looking forward to trying that stuff because, like I said, on that Revel Ranger, which is 120 mil in the front, 115 in the back, it's got the SID on the front and rear. I really like that stuff.
Yeah.
And I just like that type of bike. Like that's a really fun, what do they call it? Light trail bike. I really enjoy that.
Yep.
I wonder why I even offer a 2-position and a 3-position. Like,
Well,
Yeah.
what's the benefit of
there's probably
I
people
never change
that are
mine. I
in
just
the
leave it
middle.
open all the time.
I'd say it probably came from the race teams.
Okay.
And I'd probably say the 3-position came from like Nino and the Scott team, because Scott's had their own damper with 3-position for a super long time. Like even when I raced Scott bikes, 2015, 2016. Like they had their own remote lockout 3-position system, which was like way better than anything else at the time. Like Fox or RockShox made, like they tuned their own damper for it. So I'm guessing Nino didn't want to run open or lock because that middle mode's super convenient in like an actual XC race.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I wonder even why offer the 2-position if you already have the 3. Like,
because the racer next to Nino wants 2.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Racer stuff.
You could have those arguments about lots of mountain bike products and the features and which features are gimmicks and which ones are useful and which people actually use them and how many people don't. And
right.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it never hurts to have options, and the mountain bike world seems to love options because why not?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Everyone's different. Like I literally have never taken my SID fork or shock other than open. I just leave it open.
Even like going up the blacktop hill?
Yeah.
Don't lock it
care.
out? All right.
Don't care. Don't mind. Bike's still so efficient and fast as is that I don't know. I just don't see it as an issue, and I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, I just do it on road, like pure road stuff. I
same.
lock it out.
You don't really ride that much road on your mountain bike.
Not really. Pretty rarely.
But yeah, like Downhill climb, I locked out my rear shock. It was nice. Put it in the middle mode for the kind of the pedally stuff. Left it open from there all the way down.
Yeah. I also think to me as well, like I'm not racing, so I just don't really want to mess with it, and I don't want to worry about it. I don't want to add another thing to think about. And everyone's been on the rides a dozen times where you're with people that are like, get to the bottom of the down, like, I forgot to unlock my shock. I forgot to unlock my fork. Like, always people are doing that. It's like, just leave it alone. Just ride the bike and have a good time. I mean, that's my opinion, man.
Yeah, well, some bikes don't pedal it so good, right? Where
that's
you kind of need that switch to compensate for like a poor design or, not as good of a shock tune or whatever. But speaking of racing, I mean, are you going to be locking your bike out when you do this sweet adventure race?
I don't think so.
He's going to be so delusional, he won't even know what a lockout is.
Yeah, you'd be the guy at the bottom like, I forgot to unlock it, man.
Yeah, talk about not needing more things to think about. This is the race for that.
Absolutely.
So I got into adventure racing in 2021. A friend of a friend spun up a little adventure race team, and we did a 36-hour race that went from Mammoth to Bishop. It was awesome. Combined good amount of kayaking, mountain biking, trail running, hiking over the 36 hours. It's actually really fun. So adventure racing is all map and compass navigation, no electronics of any kind allowed. And that makes the whole thing really interesting and entertaining. And that race, we were definitely the fastest team on mountain bikes because we're all good mountain bikers, but we got lost navigating in the middle of the night and burned about 3 hours and finished back lower pack. So that was a good time, but we all laughed and had a lot of fun. This next one I said yes to, which maybe I shouldn't have, is an 80-hour one, which is also in Breckenridge. It's in Breckenridge, Colorado. Almost the whole race.
I didn't know it was 80 hours.
Yeah, it's 80 hours
From
long.
36 to 80. That's
it's a big.
I thought it was like 48 or 70. Like, whoa.
What is that? Like 3 days?
It's over 3 days is 72 hours. So yeah,
it's insane.
It's 80 hours. No electronics, no phone, nothing. It ends up being about 240 miles between all the different disciplines. So I'll give you the quick rundown. 5 mile trek, 20-mile paddle, 26-mile trek, 35-mile bike, 27-mile trek, 30-mile bike, 14-mile trek, 55-mile bike, 24-mile trek. One of the bike legs, the 30-mile bike leg, apparently has the highest checkpoint of any adventure race on a bike, which is like 13,200 feet. Most of the entire race is above 10,000 feet. So, yeah, I'm a little nervous. I think I might have bit off more than I could chew saying yes to this thing. And even just the preparation, like all the different gear. And, the other weekend we were practicing transitions. You got to like immediately take your shoes off and powder your feet. And like, there's just a lot that goes into these things. It's funny because it's kind of a human durability test.
Totally.
It's like how long can you survive out there?
How do you paddle 20 miles? Like
a lot of that
river or like what?
It's a lake. Yeah,
it's a lake?
Twin Lakes. Yeah, just south of Leadville.
Wow.
A lot of that stuff too is more like a race of attrition and just like how well can you fuel your body for that long and not like get stuff like blisters or
that's where the durability thing comes in.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's adventure racing too is confusing because technically to finish the race you just have to hit the transition areas, but in between every transition area is several checkpoints. So the checkpoints are worth points, and some are worth more points than others. So you have to, it's very strategic and takes a lot of just thought and all this stuff, because you have to think, okay, do we want to just, so your placement is based off of your time, which means your time is just how, hit all the transitions, got to the finish line, but plus your points from your checkpoints. So you actually have no idea what place you're in during the race, because you have no idea if the team in front or behind you got the same checkpoints or didn't as you. And so then you have to decide, like, well, do we want to get these checkpoints that are worth more points? Do we want to skip those ones? Do we want to try and get them for the first half of the race until we're delirious and then just try and suffer through and hit the transition areas and get to the finish line? So you have to make all of these decisions, and weather and broken bikes and people's feet deteriorating, all that stuff plays into those decisions. So
and
it's a pretty wild
in
situation.
August is volatile for thunderstorms and weather.
Big time.
And
so this race is August 3rd to the 6th. I think this podcast might come out slightly after that, so maybe I'll be alive or I won't.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are strong mountain bikers, it's like, oh, why don't we hit all the checkpoints for the mountain biking type of deal, and then maybe see how we're doing on the trek and the dude. Those treks are long, and trek is like
that's a lot of miles.
Are you fast walking? Are you slight jogging? Or are you just trekking? You're just.
I think, so it all kind of just depends on the team, right? So if everyone's feeling good, you're moving at a fast pace, and depending on elevation, you're moving at a fast pace, depending on weather and terrain. Or if you're feeling terrible, you're just slogging those things.
Yeah.
A lot of times you're eating too, right? So you'll hit a transition area, you'll take all your bike gear off, you'll transition into your trekking stuff, you'll do your mapping, you'll head out, you'll start following your compass and your map while you're eating a freeze-dried meal, and then once you finish that, then you'll probably start going at a faster pace. So yeah, I don't know. I'm obviously never done one this long. The guy I'm doing it with, Greg, he's done one race that was a 5-day. He did a 5-day one in Croatia just this March, and it rained on him like the entire time.
Did they also cover every inch of Croatia?
It's a pretty big amount.
Right?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So
he did a 5-day one. He survived that and loved it. So
you're taking a bivvy? Are you sleeping for a little bit? Like
no bivvy, just put a mosquito net over your head and lay down.
Cowboy camp and
cowboy it up.
Yeah. Nice.
So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just like whenever you can, or probably during a trek or something.
Yeah, it's kind of, I think that our plan was like, we're not competitive at this point, so we're just going to try and survive and do our best and have the most fun of any team out there. And I think we're going to try and just, maybe get an hour or two of sleep when it's dark.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. I don't know.
Well,
also depends on if you can get sleep, right? Based on the weather and where you are.
Jeff's team news. You started this as a 3-person team, right?
Started as 4.
4.
So the one we did in
Mammoth was supposed to be last
4.
year.
Yeah, last year we were going to do this, and it got postponed to this year. We had a team of 4. Then it went to 3 because Dominic, he's having a kid July 30th, right before the race. So that's not happening. And then it was 3 people, and then Angerman, the other guy on the team, he just broke a rib in Whistler.
Whoa!
But I don't think he's fully said he's out. He can't get a refund at this point.
If it's, I thought you said he broke his arm. If he just broke a rib.
Oh,
like you got 3 weeks, Angerman. You can power through that.
He thinks he's going to do that. So
that's like
he just hasn't committed to not going or going at this point.
That's tough. That's like half the recovery time probably of a broken rib, right?
Totally. There might be 2 of us. There might be 3 of us. I have no idea. It might just be Greg and I out there for 80 hours.
Man.
That's wild.
Wow. All right. Well,
I'm looking forward to
it.
I'll update everyone on the podcast.
Jeff's adventure.
Yeah, I honestly, that first one I did was so much fun, and I don't know, to me it's like a very unique, interesting sport because it takes a lot more intellect to pull the whole thing off and strategy, and there's so many variables. It's about durability, it's about fitness, it's about strategy. There's a lot to it, and it's really entertaining.
It's like
new
the Amazing
fun,
Race, but for real.
Yeah.
Right.
Not televised and with camera crews and safety people.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And I imagine navigating in the dark is probably challenging.
It's pretty tough. Yeah, we practiced that a lot last weekend since that's where we really botched ourselves the first race we did.
That's what I was.
It's so hard to keep track of yourself at
You're
night.
like, okay, well, I can't see anything. Yeah. So, like, where's a road or a turn off or whatever?
You're not on roads. You're just following your compass.
Right, trail or whatever.
You have to know where you are on the map at all times. And if you lose that, then you have to know roughly where you are. And then you take a bearing until you just go in a straight line until you hit some landmark and then realize where you are. And then just have to pay attention to which direction every trail's running, and it takes
awesome.
a lot of technique, but that's what
Yeah.
makes it fun too. So
That's
I don't know.
awesome.
It's going to be a good time. Looking forward to it.
Sounds like a blast.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully, sounds like a blast.
Yeah, it does. Honestly,
I think I'd like the training for this more than the actual event. Like, let's go out and do a hard day on the bike and then a hard hike, maybe a paddle, and then go home and sleep in my own bed.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been putting in what I watched you do before you did Belgian Waffle Ride. You were putting in like 2 weekends in a row, 120-mile rides. I was like, and you're like, I'm putting in panic miles. I was like, yeah, that's what I need to do. So that's what I've been doing lately. It's putting in panic miles and trying to just get as much time on the bike and on my feet as I can in preparation for this thing. So we'll see. Should be good.
And that's in a week.
Yeah.
Nice.
In a week from now.
Wow.
Yeah. So let's hit Daniel's fun fact. New segment of the show. It's called Daniel's fun fact.
I love
We're going to do
that.
it right before listener questions.
Done one before,
Perfect.
1 or 2 before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a new segment.
Yeah, new segment.
Yeah, new segment.
It's a new segment.
Daniel's fun fact. You can eat at a new restaurant for 3 meals a day every day for 22.7 years in New York City. Pretty impressive. I think that includes all the boroughs. I don't know how many there
That's
are.
our
4
Daniel,
or 5.
right?
That's our Daniel. Yeah.
Daniel, our
He actually
head
submitted
warehouse
that.
hamster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy, the gentleman, the smiling bearded man who ships out a lot of packages and manages a lot of the logistics, or pretty much all the logistics in the California store. That's his fun fact.
Yeah. You know,
Now,
Daniel's the man.
I want to know how many of those restaurants in New York City have under a B rating.
Oh.
You know, for cleanliness, the health department.
yeah, gnarly.
Like, I'm sure there's a handful of those that have rats and cockroaches that are C's, and you don't want to eat there. So that might drop that to 18 years.
I bet there's more than a handful of those. Yeah. I'm wondering how much it'll cost you. I mean, gosh, it's got to be a lot to eat at a new restaurant every day for 22 years.
Ask Jeff what his food budget is.
Oh, yeah, Jeff. I mean, that sounds like actually kind of like what you do, Jeff.
Yeah.
He's a habit guy, though. He doesn't eat new ones.
Well, I know, but that would be great. I mean,
Yeah, for me, it's about efficiency. Find optimal nutrition at various nearby restaurants and eat there and the same thing every time.
unreal.
All right, let's do this first question.
All right. Sounds good.
These guys sound like they're in for a good one.
Oh, yeah, totally. Hey, guys. First time, long time. My buddy and I are preparing for an Enduro Everest, 8,900 meters in a day. That's of climbing, to be specific. We're living in Squamish and both on alloy enduro bikes, fully geared for downhill riding, double down tires, coil shock, etc. The plan is to convert the bike into a climbing-friendly flavor. There are many places to save weight: cranks, fork, tires, wheels, shock, etc. If you guys, starting from an aluminum enduro build, call it SLX, Fox 38, etc., wanted to turn the bike into a climbing machine, what upgrades would you make? Budget of $2,000. Riding rowdy-ish trails and wouldn't want to flat after riding for 18 hours. Whew.
So it's 29,000 feet of climbing in a day. Have you ever done that? Seems like something you'd like to do.
I've not Everested. I mean, it was popular during COVID, and I definitely
everyone
thought
was
about
doing
it.
it then, huh?
Jack Nosko did it on the blacktop in Sycamore.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did it it's like 600 feet, so he did it like
that's a 600 foot
41
hill.
times or something like that.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Jeez. That's a gnarly... Wow.
Up the same hill, up and down.
Well,
Yeah.
that one guy, Dialed Health, did it on the Deer Creek.
On Deer Creek,
What
yeah.
wasn't that a double Everest?
He
too?
double Everested Deer Creek.
Dude,
It was something like
wow.
26 hours.
So gnarly.
Deer Creek is a big, steep, windy canyon road in Malibu.
Yeah.
Like the steepest, basically.
Yeah.
Well, for this guy...
I have not done it. Climbing upgrades to your bike. I mean, 2,000 is kind of a big budget, but I feel like you're like, I don't know. You almost don't want to do too much for it because you're not going to be able to ride downhill
Right.
in Squamish and stuff.
Yeah, it's a tough question because of you're kind of just using the wrong bike for the use case.
Yeah,
Unless
I
they're
would-
pedaling up stuff and then planning to ride down gnarly enduro trails. And
that's
then
what it sounds like.
Kind of
I'm
is the right
sure-
use case.
Sounds like what they're doing.
What's the guy's name? I'm sure this guy's heard of the New Zealand dude. I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah.
Ben or...
Yeah, Ben something.
Yeah. Hildred.
Ben Hildred.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's probably where they got the inspiration.
Yeah, and I would probably
Yeah,
look
he
at his
shredded
bike check.
Yeah.
but
he had
I
like
think,
flat pedals and double down tires and stuff too.
No, he does I think he had on like a Recon tire combo. They make a Recon EXO Plus rear tire. Like you
Really?
could run for a rear tire, run that with maybe a small little insert, so you get enough weight savings from the tire, rolling resistance from the lower tread. That would be my definitely upgrade. You can maybe go for wheels and go for like, some mid-weight trail
That's
wheels.
expensive if they have.
Yeah, but they got a budget of
$2,000
$2,000. I mean, you get a lightweight wheel set and some tires, like
some Hunt alloy wheels.
That would be nice. But I mean, you got to their budget. They're gonna want fresh tires, fresh sealant, fresh brake pads. So that's one thing that their budget needs to go to right away.
Yeah, but the Hunt wheels, I think Hunt sells direct, but they make some alloy XC wheels that are maybe $600 or $700 that have a wide internal that could easily get those in a set of Recon EXO Plus tires, maybe a dissector front, Recon rear, like
I was gonna
roll
say
faster than a Assegai DHR that they're most likely running or something similar.
Yeah, dissector.
It's kind of like all I would do.
Yeah,
And then just send it on the bike you're familiar with.
Send it, yeah.
They could get an air shock. I mean,
Air shock would be good too.
Yeah,
like
over
a
coil.
Float X or something like that.
And if you really want to get techie, maybe a high-end cassette, like over SLX.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Save a bit of weight there.
Yep.
And that's rotating weight. So
Yeah.
I would put my money in rotating weight and leave the rest of your bike mostly the same.
And freshen it up. So you got fresh
Freshen it
tires
up,
and brake
yeah.
pads and not have to worry about that stuff.
sure.
Chain, things like that.
And,
Well, gentlemen,
good luck to you.
good luck. Keep us posted.
Yeah.
Reply back and let us know how it goes.
Seriously.
And we will get to the next listener question after I refill my drink.
And an ad.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Hello, Jeff here. I wanted to quickly ask you all for a favor. If you've been listening to the podcast for a bit, you know that we own the apparel brand Kettle Mountain. We have been working extremely hard to create premium level mountain bike apparel with a very clean and minimal aesthetic while still keeping features and fabrics as technical and practical as absolute possible. It would mean the world to us if you could check out the Kettle Mountain website. If you get there, feel free to snag 25% off your entire order with the code podcast25. The code is open and active for all podcast listeners. That's ketlmtn.com, and the code is PODCAST25. By the way, we have an amazing mountain bike bib. It's our all-time favorite product amongst mountain bikers that has 3 properly positioned and placed and working pockets on the rear of the bib, a really good Italian-made chamois, and it's just a good piece for your mountain bike kit. Check it out. Just Google up KETL. Thanks, guys.
And now, back to the show.
Only person that can contact me on work mode is this guy.
Wow.
Not even you.
Oh,
Wow.
Nice.
I am not worthy.
We're not worthy.
Well, I figure if I don't answer you, nothing will happen. If I don't
Work
answer
mode.
him, I might get in trouble.
work mode, focus modes on Apple iPhone.
Yeah.
Tune into our other podcast where we talk about tech.
We'll see, Liam.
Is anyone going to be at Snowshoe this year?
Well,
I'm assuming this question's regarding the Snowshoe World Cup because they have a mountain
Yes.
bike World Cup in Snowshoe in September or October?
It is end of September,
End of September.
early October.
Oh, wow.
Both.
I think it's like the 29th through 2nd or something like that.
Yeah, I went to it last year and I had a ton of fun. It was an amazing race to watch. It's a beautiful area and in West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Yeah, gorgeous area, awesome place. The track was crazy. I watched Louis Cabruni and Greg Minnaar crash right in front of me. I mean, you get to see the best riders in the world crash and then somehow just like rip through the same section in a race run and not crash. And it's really cool. If you haven't been to a World Cup mountain bike race of whether it's XC or downhill, it's amazing to go watch. So I would highly recommend it. And that's the only one they have in the United States, at least as of now. They had it last year. They have it this year. I'm not making it this year, but Liam is.
I will be
nice.
going.
Sick.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never
Spectate
been.
and cheer.
Spectate, cheer, hang out, get beers bought for me.
Ooh, there you go. You know,
Wait, you're a hot chick?
I'll put out.
There was there was some crazy shenanigans going on the side of that World
Oh,
Cup
I'm
last
yeah,
year.
the
Sure.
crowd looks insane.
The crowd was
Yeah.
crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, there's people just going hard as out there.
Wow.
There was the funniest thing I saw out there. A group of friends, men and women, mind you. I think there was probably about 6 of them, fully dressed up as Oompa Loompas, all with instruments like drum cymbals
No way.
and a trumpet. And they were just on the side of the course, just like wailing on these instruments.
Nice.
fully dressed up as Oompa Loompas.
Crazy.
It was hilarious. Like face painted, everything. It was the green hair. It was so fun.
Good for them. That sounds like a great time.
So it is an awesome time.
I'm
it's
excited.
Not like
I've never
the
been
highlight
to-
of America. Like it's kind of like a NASCAR race, a
For
little bit in a
sure.
sense, but
that's fun.
It's just
That's
part of the crowd.
Good people, man.
It's
That's
good people.
culture.
It's always so much fun. Yeah,
You
it's a
know?
great race to watch.
I'd
It's-
rather do that than go to like a tennis match and everybody's just like,
yeah, 100%. 100% agree.
you know, I wish they had them. I know it's logistically very challenging to do all of this. Like,
Yeah, it's on the other side of the country from us.
I'm just saying, I would love it if there was some on the West Coast. Like a World Cup on the West
Yeah.
Coast would be so
You also
sick.
need the
That would be
terrain
cool.
for it.
Right. I mean, in my head, I'm thinking like, where would
You're telling me the Sierra Nevadas don't have the terrain for a World Cup? Or the Rockies?
I mean, they had one in Durango years ago. When that was
I-
was
they
that
had-
national?
They had several out here. They
I
used
don't
to have them
think-
at Big Bear. I think
Yeah.
Big Bear had World Cups.
They did,
Yeah.
but that was before like they found all these better places to have them.
It's less about the train and more about the UCI and their weird stipulations and venues that bid
Well,
on them.
I
And
was
venues
gonna
that have
say
like
it's-
the right amount of lodging. It's super
It's
weird.
it's lodging, it's
Yeah.
space for all the factory rigs, it's
Yeah, there's a lot of weird
bidding,
stuff that goes into it.
and they have to be steep too. Like I don't think there's much tracks in California, Sierra Nevada mountain range, or even in Colorado that are like that steep for that long.
Yeah, or maybe Mammoth. I don't know.
I even think they say the snowshoe one's like the least steep out of all the World Cup tracks.
Yeah, it's pretty steep. It's just not that long.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, it's a super fun race to go to.
But I'm excited. I'll be there.
Anyways,
Sick.
Liam will be there. So see you there.
Sick.
So next question. I'll answer this one.
Nice.
No problem.
Since Jeff has mentioned his flat bar gravel bike on the podcast a bunch of times, would you recommend sizing up on a gravel bike if you know you're planning to run them with flat bars, since the reach is short? Or would you just go for a long stem? P.S. Bean the Cat rules.
You added that, didn't you,
I
Jared?
did not add it. You're looking at it right now. You know I did not
I
add
don't.
it.
I don't. Even, you make this dog.
Jared
Oh, we'll get out of here.
sneakily.
I did not. I just added that
Some things
because
about
it
his
was
cat
added
have to
from
have-
the listener.
Have to have Bean in a podcast. Go ahead, Jeff.
And,
Answer this.
you know, I got to give credit where credit's due. The listener is a big fan.
of your cat. The problem with gravel bikes and flat bars is you're exactly right. The reach is way shorter. For me, it's a matter of my diminutive figure. I'm not very tall, so I would like to ride a gravel bike that had a 470 reach with a 32 mil stem, just like my mountain bike.
But you did
But
have a big stem. Or a long stem.
No, I didn't.
On your
Yeah,
No,
on your
I
lawn,
would
or-
want to ride a gravel bike that had the same reach as a mountain bike, so
Right.
470, and then put a 32 mil stem on it. So like mountain bike wise,
Right.
I like a 470 reach, 32 mil stem. That would be cool to recreate on some type of gravel bike if you're putting flat bars on it, but it's not realistic for me at least because, I mean, what size is the seat tube of a gravel bike that when the reach is 470?
I don't even think reaches get that long.
They don't
on
even get that
gravel
long. Yeah, the
bikes,
bikes
yeah.
are just sized so differently. So,
But the other thing that you have to think about is they're sized to run a 40 to 46 mil bar
yeah,
with a long stem. You bring that stem back for a flat bar, and then you put wider, let's say 740 and up bars. Your position is actually not much different. So I'd say probably pretty similar. Maybe size up if you're on the cusp, but like
you kind of can't get the same reach that you might prefer
No.
on a mountain bike. Like that's not feasible.
no. I'm just gonna go pull one up real quick.
Yeah,
we can
the
carry
geo's
on.
just the geo's just totally different. So you can try and get close, but the biggest factor there is the seat tubes and the bike's just not being long enough because it's just a different bike, so they're not going to be long enough. So on that Salsa that I had, that Cutthroat, I had a 60 mil stem on
You had
that?
a 60 stem on
60
that.
mil stem on it. Yeah,
And what
which
size did you have the bike?
it was
itself?
54, 56.
Okay,
56.
so you sized
56.
up from like what you would traditionally.
I got as
run.
big as I could physically fit on, basically, and have a 100 mil dropper post. So my post had 3 millimeters of.
Yeah, it was like slammed.
It was basically slammed, and it was a 100 mil travel dropper post, and it was the biggest bike I could fit on.
Yeah.
And
Is
the
that
reach
just-
was still considerably shorter than what my reach is on my mountain bike.
Yeah,
You
so
fully
just
calculated
different
this out. Like,
just for reference,
A bit, yeah.
yeah.
Revel Rover size large is a 415 mil reach.
Wow.
Yeah, completely different.
The
Yeah.
XXL is a 433 reach.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
but-
gravel bike reaches and mountain bike reaches, you just can't
Yeah.
really compare them.
But that seat tube length on the XXL is 580 millimeters. An equivalent mountain bike in a size large would be like, I think it's like 420 millimeters for a seat tube length. So you're taking up all of your dropper post height.
Yeah. It also goes into the fact that gravel bikes are not made to have flat bars on them. That was a weird thing that I did. I thought it was awesome and fun, and I didn't really care that the reach was kind of oddly short. It kind of helped me sit up right, which is nice for my back, and I don't know. I thought it was fine. Like if you're putting flat bars on to begin with, you're not really worried about being tucked over an arrow, right? So at that point, yeah. Anyways, but it also does put you in that situation of, well, why not just get a hardtail mountain bike with mountain bike geo totally and build it really light, which was, I don't know, I had some sort of weird hodgepodge in between a lightweight mountain bike hardtail and a gravel bike, which I thought was fun. But then again, I think pretty much all bikes are fun.
Yeah.
So
You're not wrong.
They kind of are.
Yeah, they kind of are. Yeah.
they kind of are.
Case in point, that e-bike commuter I've got, and it's a blast. And you were hooting and hollering riding that thing around like, oh my God, this thing's crazy.
That thing is so dangerous.
It's
the Geo
it's
and
a
the
step
like,
through.
it's a step through, and it's so Aventon or
whatever.
Random brand.
Aventon.
I know, when you just
do
like
not
let go of the
endorse or
bars,
recommend this brand.
you let go of the bars and they just go like this.
Oh, it's crazy. The Geo is awful. Like the way whatever they did with the offset and the rig and the trail, that fork.
Yeah,
the thing is just so squirrely. It's
so
like
wobbly.
horrendous, and you don't need to pedal. It has a throttle.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's straight up dangerous,
It
and
is.
you have it
And-
because your mom gave it to you because she crashed it.
Yeah,
And what?
and
Broke
she
ribs or something?
She broke her ribs,
Yeah.
and she never wants to ride it again. Like
Yeah.
reasonably so. I wouldn't if I was her
So
either.
why we don't endorse those sketchy bikes? But it's fine
Yeah.
if you ride it or I ride it
Yeah.
around the shop and it's funny. But
I know, and I'm like over there, like riding
You
in
know,
the store, like carving and stuff. and it's
50 plus
hilarious.
woman buys it. It's not funny because
I
they
know.
crash and hurt themselves.
And I hacked it so you can go. The motor assists over 30 miles an hour now, which is pretty cool.
Man.
Yeah.
So I'm over there, like all these like 13-year-old girls riding their scooters around, and I'm like,
Pretty sure you
flying
need like
by
a
all this
you need like an M2 license for that technically.
Yeah,
No,
Class M
I think you
license.
actually do. If you hack it to go over that, that's why it's hacked to that point.
yeah, it might be.
I'm not
You need a
saying
Class M license if it has a throttle.
Whatever.
I'm not saying I'm gonna snitch on you. I don't believe in that, but
Yeah, I know.
I'm saying that's why that
going
governor's
to.
there.
You ain't no snitch.
Speaking of being a snitch, this
Yeah.
question is kind of could be
Right?
Read it out.
Where and when would you land if you could be a fly on the wall? That's pretty cool, Pretty cool to think about. I'll go first. Mm-hmm. I thought it would be kind of cool to be a fly on the wall in like some top secret like World War II meeting, or like when they're talking about like D-Day and stuff like that. I feel like it'd be kind of cool, hear what they're talking about, or like something like that. I don't know. World War II is kind of fascinating to me. I like that history. So
Yeah, that would be cool to be there.
yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Want me to answer?
Yeah, what do you got?
I don't know. I didn't think about this one too thoroughly.
I didn't either.
The
But-
Federighi's office, or whatever his name is.
Greg Federighi's. Honestly, one of the things I did think about was I would like to be a fly on the wall around like Tim Cook or Jeff Bezos or some CEO of some monstrous technology company.
Yeah.
When they're really just being fully authentic, not when they're being PC,
Press conference.
not at the press
Yeah.
conference, not even at the board meeting. I want like them ranting about something to their best friend.
Yeah.
I want to be the fly on the wall there because I just feel they must be so different in their actual mentality and their focus and the things they know and the things that they're worried about and the things they care about, things that they're aiming for realistically versus publicly what they say.
For sure.
So I don't know. As a business guy, I think it'd be interesting to be a fly on the wall and
feel
listen
like
to that stuff.
We could probably like make that happen, If
I don't know, man.
You just got to befriend a fellow CEO, Bezos, and then you're in. And then you could
You just
be
got to
like,
slowly work your way up the ladder.
Yeah.
Just find someone who runs a $100 million company and then a 500 and then $1 billion and then a $2 billion. And then eventually we'll get to $3 trillion and we could talk to Tim Cook.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll work on that.
And then you'll be
But
like on his yacht
even if
sipping
we could,
cocktails.
he wouldn't be honest. You
That's
know
not
what I mean?
true.
Like I would need to befriend him for years
Oh.
and then have him be hammered and then just go off, like we stole this from Windows, we stole this from Android. I don't care about any of this.
That's true, man.
Like I just want that
Yeah.
experience.
In vino veritas, that's what they say.
What is that?
Who's
That
they?
means in wine there is truth. That is old Roman saying.
Really? Never
Yeah.
heard that one.
That means when
Thanks
you're
for the
drunk, you
education.
speak the truth, which
Yeah,
is
it's true.
True.
Yeah. I actually have some friends who prefer to get in job interviews Like there's a 2-stage interview. Stage 2, if you make it there, they want people to be drunk. It's Hollis and Lovett, you know.
That's exactly. I mean, that's why.
They literally they want, like, when their job interviews are like, well, we gotta get the guy drunk because that's where the true self comes out.
Wow. Yeah, that book Steel and Fire. They take like, I think it's Navy SEALs. They take the whole like crew out, get them all hammered before the deployment.
Whoa.
And any issues within that group are going to come out that night.
Yeah.
Someone has a problem with each other. Like,
that's true.
You know, they're all going to get hammered and figure it out.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's an interesting thought.
Nice.
I kind of have the same thought of like, it'd be like a fly on the wall when like Elon's like, I'm going to change the logo to X or something like that. Like,
what is he thinking?
But like some type of situation like Jeff was thinking, that's kind of what I thought of too, is like just be a fly on the wall and like, you know, modern big thing is happening in like the tech world that's going to like, you know, shake up 500 million users or not 500 million.
Yeah,
but
why did Google
5
decide
million
to be
users?
Alphabet?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, let's protect our shares so we can ensure we're billionaires forever, even if our stock tanks. Hey, Larry, yeah, Sergey, let's do it. Let's be Alphabet instead of Google. Let's make a dual class holder shares. Like, yeah, that kind of stuff.
We're going to call it the Cybertruck.
Yeah, be a fly on the wall when that was unveiled to like the whole, like, all the employees who hadn't seen it and weren't in the design process. Like, I want to see the faces of thousands of Tesla employees when they first saw the Cybertruck. And Elon's like, this is it, guys. I'm announcing it next week. And they're like, oh my God.
Or when they actually like went back to their office with their friends, they're like, that thing's ugly.
Fly buzzing around all day.
Right? Oh, man. Nice. Well, how about the next question?
Okay, back onto the topic of mountain bikes.
Back on mountain bikes. Thoughts on Geo designed for everyday rider versus pro level riders? Interesting.
Kind of goes back to what we were just talking about earlier about the F1 car and downhill racers. And
Well,
I think there's two sides of that, right? Because it kind of does need to be different if you're riding at a very different speed and you have very different use cases and objectives with the bike, i.e. go as fast as possible under the most talented rider in the world, versus have fun on the weekends from a not very talented in the world rider.
Weekend warrior.
Weekend warrior.
The difficult part is, I'd say downhill bikes might be an exception because
downhill bikes are kind of weird in this scenario.
Yeah, like but every other bike, a company makes out of carbon. They have to invest that money. The pros are riding basically the same bikes we are.
Yeah, sometimes the pros actually get the short end of the stick.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the brands are making bikes that make sense for
70% of people.
Majority of mountain bikers, not for the pros.
Yeah, which is why I think Nico's program and even his trail bike that he's just unveiled is interesting because it's like, this is the Geo he personally wants for a trail bike, not what, you know, whoever company is riding for is like, yeah, okay, we've done all the tests and testing with our, you know, whatever, normal test riders, and this is what we've got. We made carbon molds. Now you tell us what you think of it. And it's like, I don't like it at all, but it's in carbon, so there's no going back.
And
kind
you're
of
signing
thing.
my checks.
I ain't
So
got no
yes,
choice.
it's good, sir.
Yeah, it's great.
So yeah, I mean, that's cool. I mean, like Nico's bike, one thing I noticed about most pros, especially like actual downhill pros, they love long chain stays compared to the average rider. Like Nico's chain stays 455 static on his bike. It's quite long for a 480 reach.
Yeah, but if you put those guys next to, you know, general riders, they could manual and pull that front end up infinitely easier than the average rider could.
Definitely.
So
I can't.
Yeah,
I have
such
hard
different
time
use cases.
mailing over like 445 chain stays.
their use case and their abilities are so different on a bike.
Yep.
I don't know. I think the industry, by and large, has done a pretty good job of saying, hey, these are the things that we've learned from the best racers in the world that makes sense to make our bikes do and behave and make the Geo tailored to that and not take the things that are too crazy.
Like the
Yeah.
Grim Donut-esque type.
Yeah,
bikes.
like the Grim Donut was an interesting project on
Yeah, and
that.
I think Reach has hit a max point. I think some brands have even come back in Reach a little bit on their newest iterations. So I think we found the limit with that. And then if you look at pro enduro riders' bikes, I don't even think there's hardly any XLs in that field, even though many riders are over 6 foot. They're all riding mediums and larges. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something to be said for, like, I don't know, the bikes that they're riding. I mean, yeah, I think a lot of people see that and then they're like, well, if they're riding that and they're good, then, you know, translate that to me and I'll be good. I get that bike, or not like that, right? But like, I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people just want what the pros ride.
Yeah, a lot of people just want what the pros ride.
A lot of people can't corner a medium-sized bike on rails. We need the wheelbase to help us out.
Yeah.
And they're also racing like hiking trails, awkward switchbacks in Europe, right?
Seriously. Which, I mean, I get. You're going to want a smaller bike to maneuver that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I guess what it all really comes down to is, like, ride the bike, and if you like it, then there's not much more to it.
It is tough these days because there's so many options out there, and a lot of brands have done a good job of kind of taking feedback from racers and taking feedback from customers who pay full price, and they're very generally different abilities on the bike.
Yeah.
But I think it's actually come out pretty well. Like, you don't see racers riding wildly different bikes than what are normally being sold or what we're riding. Like, it doesn't need to be that different.
Yeah.
Can be slight changes here and there, but it doesn't need to be worlds away.
Yeah, I'd say if anything, they run like linkages to like adjust the kinematics for them, usually adding progression. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're going so much faster.
yeah, and they push their bikes so much harder than we ever can.
Yeah, that makes sense.
True.
Nice.
Well, this is a cool question. If you would fly to any one mountain bike festival in the United States, what would it be? Sedona? I have a flight credit, and I'm trying to find a good MTB festival to go to in 2024.
Well,
That's a good one.
I have an answer.
Really?
I do
do you
too,
got?
but mine's going to be slightly outside the U.S.
Oh, I think
And
we
I
might be
think
thinking the same
you'd
thing.
Crankworks.
Crankworks.
That's what I was going to say. Well, yeah. Gosh. That's like a whole different beast, though.
I think I got it.
Oh,
if
yeah?
you want to watch some of the most insane mountain bike competitions ever, from the fastest racers to the craziest free riders, Crankworks, unbelievable festival, Whistler, bike park, madness, funnest thing in the
Trails.
world. That probably is the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
But
But-
if you are really staying in the confines of the U.S. and you want to do some good riding in some really cool, unique southwestern terrain, Sedona is an amazing place. Albeit weather is a bit of a factor, which we experienced this year.
We had that this year.
Yeah.
If you want to go to a big festival and look at a lot of parts and talk to brands and talk to engineers who design the stuff, Sea Otter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Sea Otter riding and surrounding
There's
riding's
nothing.
not
It's
great.
terrible
That's
for
the
that. The
problem.
lodging is terrible at Sea Otter. The riding is terrible. It's all just, it's awful.
Oh man,
Like,
the hotel
the
I
whole
stayed in
situation
this
is
year,
awful at
Yeah,
Sea Otter
brutal.
for that.
I mean, just the image online was nothing like. I literally rolled up to it and was like, "This is not the same hotel that I booked. Like, not even close." Yeah, I mean,
I
like,
hate it when that happens.
I honestly like. I should have just rolled my van in front of the Revel House and slept in it like I did last year because it was a pretty bad hotel.
Yeah, Sea Otter's a mess. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
it's
horrible.
at Laguna Seca, which is a car racetrack, so it's kind of has to be in the middle
in
of nowhere.
in between Salinas
noise?
and Monterey.
Yeah.
So you have
And-
Salinas or Monterey to stay in.
Salinas is terrible,
And Monterey's overpriced.
bougie and overpriced. And
Can we get something in the middle? How about
yeah,
something
it's
with
just
some mountain
Sea
bike?
Otter's terrible. Like the whole lodging and riding situation is awful at
I
Sea Otter.
know. If you could combine almost the best elements of the Sedona Mountain Bike Fest and Sea Otter, that would be awesome.
Yeah, that
Does
would
cool
be
place
cool.
to
Does
ride.
Bentonville have a cool
I think
festival?
I think they do actually.
I
Which
don't know. They have a lot of races there, but I don't know if they
Yeah.
have sort of a prominent festival yet.
If
There's
they
also
have-
Outer Bike, which kind of moves around at different areas.
Yeah, that's true.
So Outer Bike, if you want to try a bunch of different bikes, would be a great idea. For
Yeah,
you too.
if Bentonville had a good festival, that would be my go-to. But I don't know if they do. So Sedona.
yeah, or I mean, if Sea Otter was like, I know Santa Cruz would be like a horrible place to do that because just logistically, it's a pretty congested city and not a lot of whole wide open spaces for that kind of stuff.
There's not even legal trails.
There's not even legal trails. I mean,
illegal
that's just
trail riding thing.
asking for it.
You think
I mean,
most people can make it down campus trails?
I think
no.
we answered the question.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Next
Fair
one.
enough. Hey,
Read it off.
fellas. Just started to listen to the pod. It's very informative. I found a segment you talked about Whistler, and I think of planning a trip there next year. Can you do a segment about travel tips for flying in, car rental, hotel, etc., etc.? Thanks for any tips. Yes, we absolutely can do that. And, well, first of all, they have a shuttle that goes from the airport to Whistler. If you don't want to, well, you don't really even need a car in Whistler. They have
If you have a bike. Yeah.
right, yeah, and they
Tons
also
of lodging there. You can pretty much get lodging anytime by the village,
Yep.
which is the base of the mountain where everyone hangs out at.
Yep.
And you can ride your bike and or walk to it based on all the lodging if you're not already right in it.
Yep.
So you don't really need to rent a car.
They also have a rideshare app called Whistle I used. It's basically like an Uber for Whistler. And it works super well.
Nice.
But yeah, you could even also stay like on the Blackcomb side, probably a little bit cheaper than staying like in the village. That's what I did when we were up there after you guys left.
Yeah.
I rented an Airbnb on the base of Blackcomb, and it's literally, trail in the ski hill was right there. And it's like a 5 or 10 minute walk over to the village. So probably a little bit cheaper, but yeah, I would probably get a place close to the village, because that's where a lot of your like dining options and stuff like that are going to be entertainment.
Yeah.
And then you could pedal to any trail or to the bike park or whatever.
Yeah, Whistler's so well built out.
Yeah.
Flying to Vancouver, YVR is the airport code. Show up there with your bike, Google Whistler shuttle, and everything will pop up. Go from Vancouver Airport to Whistler, and do that. There's tons of lodging, whether it's Airbnbs, vacation rentals, hotels. It's pretty dialed in. It's pretty easy to go to Whistler and have a good time and enjoy yourself. Not the cheapest, but it's very
definitely
fun
not cheapest
and very easy.
If you do fancy to rent a car, make sure the car rental place is at the airport.
What was that place called?
I don't know. We made the mistake of
Roots rental car.
Do not go to
1-star
Roots
review from
and,
us.
Did you actually do it?
No, I don't take the time usually.
I don't do that either.
Unless it's like, it wasn't actually horrendous. Like, it was mediocre, but it wasn't like we didn't get destroyed. Like, the van drove us there and back.
Yeah, well,
check engine light went on, and the transmission was going.
It was subpar, but it wasn't like...
It was subpar, but it wasn't bad enough to where I was going to bother leaving a review on them.
I was like, man, this van is clapped out.
And for the price, again, you gotta factor in price.
Yeah. It wasn't
when you review any product or service, don't forget the price you paid.
It wasn't convenient though, because you had to take a shuttle from the airport to the rental car place, then get your car rental, which takes 2 hours, then drive, blah blah blah. Make sure you get one out of the airport. Just do your research.
Yeah, or take a shuttle, because you really don't need a rental car there.
Totally.
Nice. How about this next question?
Oh boy.
I recently installed... Were you going to say something?
I was going to say, just give us the synopsis of this question.
Recently installed some haze brakes on my Kona, and the caliper is humming loudly and causing taint tickling vibrations. This only occurs when applying medium modulating pressure. Light feathering or hard lockups are preferred. Doesn't make any noise. Wondering if there's any secrets for haze brakes. I've installed over 100 brakes, and this is the first time I haven't been able to sort this out. Also, bonus question. I lived in San Diego for 4 years, and now I live in Michigan. How do you make biking enjoyable again when you just miss the mountains and the thrills?
That's going to offend a lot of people in Michigan.
And Jared did not give us the synopsis of this question.
It was like a 50% synopsis. Anyways.
80.
So it's the Dominion A4 brakes, which I haven't had a ton of time on, but I rode a few times and actually really like those brakes.
I've heard good things.
They were powerful. The lever action is so feather light. It's amazing.
I felt them. I've not ridden them.
Yeah, they're pretty sweet. It's kind of an underrated. It's in terms of a brake that's not that popular, but it's actually a really good brake.
Yeah,
Hayes Dominions for sure. But then again, I don't know. This guy's having an issue.
Yeah, Jordan told me the same thing though. He liked him a lot. So, Hayes, if you're listening, send us some brakes to ride. But a lot of the vibrations when like a medium pressure can kind of be from multiple things. It's hard to know over podcast. Is probably the worst question to answer over a podcast.
Yeah, that definitely chalks up to one of those bike mechanic questions that you just can't do over the phone or over a podcast.
I'd say
I kind of know what he's talking about.
Yeah,
but
no, I felt it for sure. It could be a bad bed in. It could be a semi-contaminated.
Sounds like when it's glazed
over, bad bedding in. It could also be like your mount is just slightly off. So hard braking kind of makes it square. Light braking doesn't really like make the full contact. But when you're in that middle braking, if your mount's off, whether it's crooked or even your caliper's not perfectly centered on the
pads
rotor,
aren't hitting flat on the rotor.
Pads aren't clapping flat on that thing.
Sounds like a hardtail.
I know it's a
does the same thing.
Your hardtail does the same thing?
Yeah.
Just
been living with it.
I think there's
I wonder if other brakes wouldn't do that on your hardtail.
I think I just glazed them, and or it's like what Liam's saying, it's crooked and I've just not looked at it.
Yeah, unfortunately, especially if your mounts are like on carbon, which a lot of bikes are, they're not perfect. So Park Tool makes a brake like squaring kit.
Surfacing
kit, which I've actually been using a bit more. I use it on Jeff's bike and my bikes if I have the time. If not, I just run it. But I do it on Jeff's bikes. It makes a difference. And yeah, it's amazing like how bikes are shipped without a perfectly square brake mount. So that could possibly be it. But yeah, over podcast, it's a really hard question. But those would be my 2 or 3 guesses.
Yeah. I mean, you know better than me.
You can always go with the tried and true process of elimination. Swap out the pads, see what happens. Swap out the rotor, see what happens. Swap out the entire brake set, see what happens.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pads
Not the
and
easiest,
rotors.
but
Or try to square that thing off too. See what happens.
yeah, that's part of it too, for sure.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that helps.
Well, least but not last, Jared,
Yeah.
quickly.
What would your stage name be if you were famous?
I think we should give each other stage names and not choose our own.
Great idea.
Okay, great idea. Liam, I think yours would be
Hit me.
like, so, I mean, I've listened to this one radio and her name is Dusty Street. And I think yours would be something sick like Ruddy Track or like Loamy Shoot.
I was going to
something.
say Tatty Rat.
Tatty Rat.
Teddy Rat.
I was going to say like, yeah, Loamy Shoot. My name's Loamy Shoot.
For you, I was going to say Massive Nacho.
Massive nacho. I was going to go
All right,
lines
hurry
of
up. The camera's gonna
some,
turn off.
Ric Flair or something like that. Jeff would be...
Can I get a new one?
Nacho Libre?
No. Nacho's fine, whatever.
Baba Ganoush.
No, how about like nacho cheese or something? Name's
Baba
Nacho. Baba Ganoush. Yeah, what's Jeff's?
You got 30 seconds.
We
You're gonna have to do it
Hefe?
the next podcast.
We Hefe?
Yeah, like we man. We Hefe?
Something.
Pequeno Jefe.
Yeah. Paquito Hefe.
Paquito.
Yeah, we could find
Taquitos.
something catchier than that. It's got to be like catchy and like unforgettable,
Yeah.
like Dusty
Yeah.
Street.
Well, what could be catchy and unforgettable is your reviews. Yes, you listeners. If you please leave us a review on Apple or Spotify podcasts. I'm not joking. I'm serious, even though Jared's laughing at me. It actually really helps out our podcast, and we would genuinely appreciate it. Thank you very much for listening. We appreciate you. And if you write a review, screenshot it, and you email it to podcast@worldwidecyclery.com,
Yeah.
Jared will give you a little discount code,
I will.
a little special prize.
Although I think everybody already did it. You know, I haven't really gotten much lately. I think everybody.
It's
Well,
because
if
we
you're
haven't said that.
listening,
Oh,
do
no, you
it.
did. We have been.
If
Either
you're
way.
listening, send
Thank
one
you.
in.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Power on. See you next time.